Hi, everybody. It's Miss Austin, and I'm going to be going over the worksheet for anybody that needed help. Hopefully, you watched the video on how to open this. When you hit download um, and the PDF goes to the bottom of your screen, then you right click, you say Show in Folder, and you right click Open with Edge. And when you do that, you'll be able to ink on the worksheet. And then at the end, you're going to save it and then submit it through Canvas. And if for some reason you're having problems with that, you could always just submit it via email. The other thing you can always do is you can do your work on a separate piece of paper if you're having problems. Just draw the picture on a piece of paper and then send me a picture of that. All right, here we go. So it says calculate the value of x in the diagram at the right. So this problem, we're just wanting people to remember that all triangles, right, their angles add up to 180 degrees. That's something that comes up quite often. So we've got 85 and 50, which makes, you might be able to do that in your head. Let me activate my pen here. There we go. 85 plus 50 is 135. And I know all triangles add up to 180, so now I'm going to do 180 take away 135. And you could use a calculator, do that in your head. What would we get if it was 130? It'd be 50. So we've got 45 degrees left over. X is 45 degrees. All right, moving on. Number 2, whoops, sorry. Determine the value of each variable in the diagram below. So here we've got two triangles and we're supposed to find some missing angle measures again. Again, reinforcing this idea that all triangles add up to 180. So the bottom triangle, we can do just like we did for number 1. We've got 121 and 35, which is 156. And then I've got to do 180, take away that, so 66, 76. I've got 24 degrees left over. So this guy right here is 24 degrees. Now, how am I supposed to figure out y and w? Because I've only got one. Well, we've got this right here. Remember, anytime two lines intersect, vertical angles are created. These y and 121, those are called vertical angles because they're across from each other and they are congruent. So y, you don't have to do any work. Look at it. Just look at the shape of it. Think of rigid transformations. That, if I just reflect 121 over using this point right here, that y is the same thing. So y is 121 degrees. Whoops, sorry guys. 121 degrees. Now I can find W. I've got 121 plus 27, which makes 148. So now I'm going to do 180 take away 148. 180 take away 148, which is what? 58, 68, 78, 32 degrees left. I'm just doing that in my head. You could use a calculator. You could do it out old school. Okay. So W is 32, Y is 121, and Z is 24. All right, number 3. Consider the two triangles in the previous problem. Can we be sure that they are similar? Explain. Well, in Unit 3, we learned in order for two triangles to be similar, at minimum, we have to have two angles that are congruent. Because once two angles are congruent, the third angle has to be. So if we look up here, do these triangles have at least two angles congruent? No, they only have one. These triangles are not similar. So it says, how can we be sure that they are similar? Explain. No. To be similar, I mean, ultimately, you have to have all three angles the same. Once you see two are the same, that's enough. But I'm going to put in my explanation, no, to be similar, all angles must be congruent, and these are not. If they had given me two, that would have been enough. I wouldn't have needed to confirm the third one. Okay, so no, they're not similar. All right, so that was pretty much review. Now this new idea, well, actually this is still review. I'm a liar. Determine the value of x in the diagram at the right. So this is a right triangle. We've got two sides. And so we've got Pythagorean theorem. I'm going to write that up here. We've got a squared, which is a leg, plus b squared, which is another leg, equals c squared, which is the hypotenuse. So here they gave me two legs. They gave me 38 and 21. The legs are the two sides that make up the right angle. It doesn't matter which one I put in for A and which one I put in for B. So here we go. I've got 38 squared plus 21 squared equals I don't know squared. So now I'm just going to get a calculator. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do 38 squared plus 21 squared all in one step. 38 squared plus 21 squared. I get this whole side on my calculator is 1,885. Okay, and that's what the side squared is. I don't want to know what x squared is. I want to know what x is. Okay, so how do you undo square? You square root, square root. I'm going to do that on my calculator. What is the square root of 1,885? Comes out as a decimal, so we'll just round. And I'm using the letter C even though they were using an X. It's okay. I'm going to go 43.4. And one way to like self-check yourself is the hypotenuse, which is the one across from the right angle, should always be the biggest side. And it is. 38, 21, 43 is bigger than both of those. All right. Number 5, another right triangle, but this time they give me the hypotenuse. See that? They give me the hypotenuse and one leg. So the 22.5 is going to get plugged in for C, and 18 is going to get plugged in for A or B. It doesn't matter which one, whatever makes most sense to you. I'm going to put it in first. 18 squared plus, I don't know, I'll use Y this time since that's what they have. You could do B, it doesn't matter. And this time I know the hypotenuse. Okay, so now on my calculator, I'm going to do 18 squared, which is 324. Plus, I don't know, squared equals, now I'm going to do 22.5 squared on my calculator. 506.25. All right, now this one's a little bit different than the one up above because I need the one up above, the one I was looking for was already alone. I didn't have to move anything around. For this problem, y squared, I need to get this alone. So I need to get rid of this. That's a positive 324, so I'm going to subtract it. These are just your basic equation rules, right? Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So that cancels this out. So now I have y squared equals, I'm going to do 506.25 minus 324 on my calculator. I get 182.25. Right? Now that's the side squared, 182. Look at that triangle. There's no way that could be 182. That's what y squared is. How do you undo square? Square root. Square root. I don't know if it's going to come out to a whole number, so I'm going to take the square root of 182.25. It's a non-repeating decimal, so you don't have to use the approximate. 13.5. And then just double check. Make sure you don't get an answer that's bigger than that hypotenuse, because that would be a clue that you did something wrong. But we didn't. All right, now we're finally on to this new idea. It turns out that you're going to be able to find the missing sides of right triangles with less than two sides. But we need to make sure we can name the sides based on an angle that is given. It's called the reference angle. So it says, consider the right triangle below and the angle measured theta. That's a Greek letter. Label the three sides of the triangle relative to the angle measured theta. So on Monday, we said, if this is the angle, right? You've got the three sides, the words that we use are opposite, adjacent, and then our old friend hypotenuse. Maybe hypotenuse is always the easiest because that's still the side across from the right angle. Hypotenuse. And now, the opposite and the adjacent. The opposite side, if you put your finger on theta and then go across, it's opposite. That's the opposite side. We're going to be needing to know that, okay? And then the other one is called the adjacent. See how that's next to? The word adjacent means next to. And then some students get confused because they're like, well, wait a sec, Miss Austin, this hypotenuse could be the adjacent. No, the one across from the right angle only can be the hypotenuse. That's all it can ever be called. All right, last one. Same problem, except instead of using this Greek letter theta, they use beta. It's just like a variable, x, y, w, okay? They're just using some Greek letters. So it says, now do the same thing based on this angle. So maybe let's do the hypotenuse first. This has to be the hypotenuse. That's all it can be. This is your hypotenuse. And now, which one's the opposite? Go to the angle that they gave you, which is beta here, and go opposite. This is the opposite side. And then this is the adjacent. See how it's right next to it? Okay. So these words, opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse, are going to become very important in our next lesson and many lessons to come. What we're starting to learn is right triangle trig that are based on the ratios of these sides. I will see you guys soon. Have a great day.